So good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. It is a fantastic opportunity to present this very innovative session to you. The University of Pennsylvania is running a 2-week conference, the Global Oral Health and Climate Action Conference, parallel and during the main conference that's happening in Belém, Brazil. And the idea of all these sessions is to generate policy recommendations, some action points that will be collated and then feed back into bigger agendas in WHO and also government agendas. So the material coming out of this session will be very much utilized and taken forward. As COP30 presidency said, we need to go from talking to action and implementation. And this, I understand, is really at the heart of this agenda. So without further ado, I will hand back to Valentina and wish you success for this tremendous session that you put together.
Thank you, Julian. Thank you for this opportunity. And I would like to invite our co-chair, Dr. Elin from Norway, to start this presentation and to introduce our speakers for today.
Thank you so much, Valentina, and hello everyone around the world. Today we come together with a shared commitment to climate resilience prevention, the visionary principle and knowledge of what it takes to ensure holistic health, all in the best interest of both children and the planet. As an advocate for children's rights to quality early childhood education and planetary well-being, I'm honored to serve as the moderator for today's webinar with you world-leading experts on a variety of approaches to our webinar on early childhood education as the first line of NCD and climate resilience prevention. My role as a doctor and professor of early childhood pedagogy and as the director of the KINDknow Research Center for Systemic Research on Education for Diversity and Sustainable Futures in Norway has reinforced my belief that in the critical importance of this topic. And I truly believe that the session today will fuel my energy even more. I will remind us all of the WHO UNICEF Lancet Commission, led by Helen Clark, stated in 2020, a future for the world's children. They write, despite dramatic improvements in survival, nutrition, and education over recent decades, today's children face an uncertain future. Climate change, ecological degradation, migration population, conflict, pervasive inequalities, and predatory commercial practices threaten the health and future of children in every country. And in the faces of this polycrisis, which significantly impacts early development, it is essential to create opportunities for bodily and emotional resilience and for joining forces across disciplines, sectors, and national borders. So I'm genuinely excited about the relevance and urgency of our discussions today and a response to this uncertainty as knowledge workers gathered here, becoming global agents for sustainability by sharing our insights and evidence. Because it is evident, beyond any doubt, that early childhood education is vital, not only for children's development and education, but also for fostering long-term resilience in our societies. So, through this webinar, we aim to raise awareness about the significance of early childhood education and emphasize that children's best interest must matter more in policy making and in everyday practices. The Bangkok Declaration from last year expressed the urgent need to intensify efforts to mitigate the substantial health, social, economic, and environmental impact of oral diseases and health systems and societies. So As a response to these concerns, we will explore recent research, insights, and ideas helpful to enhance, protect, and innovate actions, policy, and the pedagogy within the early years institutions, as well as the ecosystemic levels of society, for the supports of child life and holistic nature of development. This encompasses essential aspects such as early cognitive and social growth, foundational learning, responsive care, responsible innovation, nutrition, health, safety, and protection. And I will also mention play, because we must not forget the meaning and joy of life in all the serious concerns. Through our conversations today, we will uncover how empowering children to care for self-protection, care for others and the planet can lay the groundwork for resilient communities and societies. And we will examine a broad range of conditions fostering international collaboration to tackle the threats and challenges facing future generations. As I already said in the opening, I serve as a professor and director of the KINDknow Center for Systemic Research on Diversity and Sustainable Futures in Norway. So my title is Embedding Movement, Play and Exploration in Early Childhood Education Systems as Everyday Pedagogies for Public and Planetary Health. So what I will do is that I will go through, try to respond to two questions. So the first one, which pedagogical foundational practices must educators do to support children in the moment-to-moment practice and in the long run to enable population-level resilience? And I will also try to respond to the question of how can high-quality early childhood education offer a response to the climate crisis? So in the end, I will tell a story. So the ideas of planetary care and holistic development and early childhood education have evolved through various historical phases, influenced by social, cultural, and scientific advancements. So I would like to start to go far back. So how did quality early childhood education look like? If we are looking back to the 17th century, when Johann Amos Comenius published what many consider to be the first picture book dedicated to education of the youngest children. It was Orbis Sensualium Pictus, or the world of things obvious to the senses, drawn in pictures. So this book can be seen to be as much about pedagogy of early childhood. So when you can look at the picture here, you can see the pedagogue and the child, here a boy. And you can see that in the picture, they are situated in an open landscape, out in nature, but also with the city or the little village behind them. You can see that it is a planetary system. You can see the sun, you can see the sky and the air. So in this book, the role of the pedagogue was to take the child by the hand and walking to explore and discover the richness and connections of the world by the senses. And you can also see in the book, it is two columns here, one with the mother tongue, the other in Latin, which was a revolutionary at the time when the book was printed. You know, and I will also point to some of the early foundations of childhood, which established in our culture childhood as a unique stage. So, and I will begin again with Johann Amos Comenius. He was advocating universal education. So as we saw in the last picture, taking the child by the hand and show the child all aspects of the world. But also later, Friedrich Fröbel and Maria Montessori established the notion that childhood is unique and valuable stage of human development. Their philosophies emphasized the importance of play, exploration, social interaction, laying the groundwork for holistic approaches and hands-on material for early early education. So you can see that the senses is very crucial here. So what we can see by the evolution of early childhood pedagogy and the knowledge for the educators, we can see that the child has always been connected to the planet, to the local, the situated, and as well as the global, and the micro and the macro at the same time. We can be reminded by John Dewey and naturalistic education, where the idea of the children with close to nature and environment, and schools implementing outdoor learning, encouraging also relationship with the planet and scientific methods of discovery. We can see it in Piaget and Vygotsky and child development theories, the idea of learning as a social and psychological process, emphasizing the importance of environment and social context. We also can find it in Uri Bronfenbrenner and other ecological frameworks, the idea of system theory with multiple layers of influence. As a child development with family, community, societal factors beyond the classroom. And we can also see it in the political laws and regulation with children's rights implementation in national laws and regulations, children's voices and participation, which enriches, new ways of bringing the child voices to the front and to respond and act upon the children's voices. We can see it in environmental education and the growing of sustainability awareness. Early childhood education began integrating concepts of sustainability and planetary care, promoting value, use of stewardship and responsibility towards the planet, very much integrated in Nordic early childhood education frameworks. And also in holistic pedagogy, not only for cognitive and social emotional learning, but also integrating physical health, environmental awareness, and ethical citizenship towards nurturing the whole child, as also, the two previous speakers has so beautifully also addressed. Early childhood education and care institutions are uniquely positioned to foster conditions that promote meaningful lives, resilience, adaptability, and strong health, and transformative agency. I can see that my points is so connected to yours, Ursula, with your 4 principles. To support child health and well-being, we need a comprehensive understanding of the relational conditions that contribute to growth and to long-term public health. Also, I will bring up James Heckman and his powerful knowledge about high quality early interventions are a wise and profitable investment, yielding high returns in terms of better economic, health, and social outcomes for individuals and societies. So how does high quality early childhood education and care look like today? And how can we strengthen the quality gaps between institutions? I will bring forward one of our projects in our KINDknow Research Center. It is a large intervention study that's called Movement, Play and Exploration. We work with co-creation and intervention in 48 early childhood and care institutions in Norway. led by Professor Odegaard. And we can here see that we want to integrate movement, play, and exploration in all our principles, and to shape rich physical environment, to create possibilities for meaningful participation, to shape a good balance in between challenging the child and supporting the child, and to shape good dialogues, both between actions and words and language. So now I come to my story. This story was created by a teacher. He was encouraged to tell how he worked in one of our projects. So I would like his voice to come forward now. So he tells the story of one day in a kindergarten, and one of the children came up to him and said, "What does it mean to be alive?" He says, "This question came up in a conversation I had with the children one day, and my immediate answer was that we must breathe to be alive." And he explained, "We take a deep breath into our lungs and let the air go out again. So I found a feather, and the children could try to breathe on the feather to check if they were alive. All the children in the group made the feather move by breathing on it, and we could with relief establish that all of us were alive. Several more questions about what was alive and what was not came up, and it was not easy for me to find the good answers to all their questions. So that's why we agreed that we could go in the wood next day to find out if we could find anything alive there. But it was winter and a light snow covered the ground, so I was not quite sure what would be the result of our little expedition the next day. We could not expect to find small insects because it was winter. Well, we did not go far, only 100 meters right outside the fence of the kindergarten to a small wood. We stopped at one of the big trees there. "Is the tree alive?" I asked. They were quiet. Everyone looked like they were listening to something. However, we did not hear any breathing sounds from the tree. So maybe the tree does not breathe. Maybe the tree did not live. Some of the children went close to the tree, touched it, listened, and started sniffing the bark. Is the tree breathing? I asked it gently and touched the bark of the tree. The children did not respond immediately, but then a boy wondered if he heard a mouse breathing. We listened again, and another child stated that the tree could not breathe because it didn't have a mouth. Maybe it can breathe in other ways, I suggested, maybe through the leaves. However, there were no leaves on the tree since it was winter, so I could not prove myself right at that moment. We therefore instead started to feel the moss, and after a while we moved to a small ridge. I suggested we lie down to think about what it meant to be alive. We lay down in a star format and breathed deeply together. "I think the trees rest in the winter," I said, while lying there. "I think they rest as we do now. And when spring comes and the leaves returns to the trees, we can see that the tree is alive." So that was the story of the teacher. And then I will go back to the Lancet Commission that reminds us and give us also some help on the way for policy development. They suggest something for us all, that what is needed for children. They need to be protected. They need to be educated. And they need to be heard. They need to have a good health, and they need to be treated fairly. When it comes to the education, that is my topic here, the Lancet states that high quality and safe primary school, and specifically early childhood education, and for children with disability is important. Child-centered and child-friendly education is important. As my example, could establish an example of that, as a response to children's questions, to go and explore. And furthermore, they say that education need to also include respect for natural environment and for sustainable development. And they emphasize life skill education, promoting healthy behavior, including personal hygiene, stress management, nutrition, and self-care. And also, they remind us of the importance of community-based education, challenging gender roles and stereotyped and harmful practices. And also, I will give attention to their recommendation of time and space for age-specific and inclusive play and creativity. So, thank you for the attention.